Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Brian. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's special selection comes at us from Lisa. Here's a song by Marnie Stern, a killer guitarist who released a few albums with Zach Hill from Hella and Death Grips as her drummer. Excited for your reaction. I'm excited to get into this. I don't know who Marnie Stern is, but Zach Hill, I always love his drumming. He's good in any project he's working with. So, yeah, let's dive into it and see what Marnie Stern is bringing to the table with her confidence. I haven't said a word this whole react. It's overwhelming in ways I didn't expect. I don't really know what to make of this track. It's not even really odd. It's just there's a lot of odd decisions to it that end up towing the line between a simplisticness and a complicated noisiness. I'm finding it really difficult to parse for some reason. So let's just go over some of the basics, the general ideas at play here, and maybe I don't know, maybe my brain will see something interesting and make some connections, and this will actually turn into an analysis rather than an overview. To kick it off, there are two main sections to the track. We have our A section, defined by the guitar riff. We have the vocals on top of it, and the drums. What's really cool about the drums is that while the guitars are holding out these longer notes, the drums sort of engage in free-form drumming. There is definitely a rhythm to it, but what's interesting about it is that the timing of the rhythm shifts a little bit every time. Now it's Zach Hill. I know the dude's got chops. He has an internal metronome that is ridiculous. I don't think he's slipping. I don't think he's dragging or rushing at times, unintentionally, of course. They are dragging and rushing, but there's a part to it that he always lands at the end of that really cool syncopated pattern that he does in the main verse area. After like 7 or 8 notes, there's always one note that lands on the beat. The seven or so that come before it, he's free to play with those, especially since the guitars aren't doing anything. The vocals are sometimes doing something rhythmic, but oftentimes also just holding out a single syllable, since there's really not a lot of lyrics to this track. Um, and the drums are free to play around with time a little bit. And there's moments in here that drag, moments in here that rush, but we always end up landing back on that one note again to ensure that the time is correctly stated moving forward. The tempo doesn't actually change, it's just the feeling of the tempo. The guitars and vocal on top of the drum work in this section, I think the vocal work is fine. It's sort of flat, but it's fine in context with everything else. The guitars are very tinny though. They kind of come off to my ears as whiny, and I could have dealt with a little bit more width to their body. They were just very narrow tones that really favored a higher end EQ. It's not a sound that is completely unusual for a guitar. I feel like it harkens back a bit to older eras of guitar tone work. It's definitely very distant from I'd say the modern metal sound for a guitar, which is very bass heavy these days. Really going for that punchy sound, especially when you look at more progressive and gentler bands that want to be heavy. There's a lot of bass emphasis in the guitar tones that isn't present here. This feels closer to rock of past ages in the way that she crafts the timbre of it. But it also has a bit of an indie flair to it, where like the person creating the guitar tone, not Marnie in this case, but just some random guitarist starting up a garage band. Maybe they don't quite know what their tone is. Maybe they don't quite know how to find a good tone. Maybe they don't have all the pedals they need to do it. And so the tone itself kind of comes off a bit anemic and amateurish. It feels closer to an indie rock. And see, even the thing is too, is like some indie rock artists know exactly what they're doing and they specifically aim for this tone. So, I obviously have some biases related to it, but much like lo-fi in black metal, it's an aesthetic that sometimes people deliberately dial in, and of course I'm going to wager that Marnie did here as well. But to me, especially given that it's 1/3 of the song, it is quite a bit too thin, I think. And the pitchiness of it is something that never quite worked for me either. This is the entire A section though. Drums that play around time feel, narrow, tinny guitar work that mostly hangs on single notes, not a lot of movement there, and slower moving vocal lines with a bit of a flat, energyless kind of delivery. Just kind of allowing the notes to come out without much effort to them, without much strain. Very comfortable range for her as well. Um, all in all, the drums have this energy, this momentum, this drive, and everything else just sort of is. And I think that's really interesting. We'll get to that later, maybe when we hit the lyrics, but it's kind of wrapped up into the topic here, her confidence, the way that I read the title. But lyrically, you might be in the wrong area, so I guess we'll figure that all out later. The structure of the track is A, B, A, B. We have our little verse thing, and then we have a solo section. The drums get to do something new, the guitars get to do something new. Sometimes we double track guitars. Then we come back to our A, and then we have a different instrumental focused section. The instrumental focus sections are interesting. If our A's are completely static, the same guitar riff over and over, and the same drum pattern over and over, and the same vocal melody over and over, our B's are the exact opposite. The drums become explosive with their ideas. Sometimes they're blast beats, sometimes they're just highly energetic and moving forward. The guitar work goes from these suspended notes, just holding out these singular tones, to lots of movement. Sometimes we have a triplet feel coming from them. Sometimes we have 16th notes. They're constantly moving. One time we did have the guitars just sort of holding out these foundational ideas, but there's a second guitar on top of it playing a melody, and the ideas are shifting quickly. 4 to 8 bars on each idea before we're going to something new. It is just a rapid fire string of ideas that play around with tonality. There's a little bit of tonal stuff going on when we have both guitars going at the same time. I don't think they're perfect. They're both perfectly in tune with each other. Um, there is playfulness with density, especially with the blast beats. It brings in a layer of noise as well to the entire thing. It takes it from something that is laid back and chill and calculated, but easygoing, into a lot. And I really have a tough time reconciling the two sides of this track. I do believe we're supposed to be looking at a duality here. And I think this is where we're going to tie it into the title, and then we'll move into lyrics and see how accurate I am on any of this. I think this song is supposed to be about somebody's confidence, not necessarily how they feel inside, but at least how they project confidence. It could be about, well, particularly the A section. Feels like a swagger to me. Does anybody else get that? The way that this person holds themselves, the way that they walk, their body language, all of this comes off as somebody who is cool and calculated and laid back. They know what they want and they get it, and they don't have to try to get it. It just comes natural to them. The guitar tone, sorry, not the guitar tone, the guitar line, the ability to control time, little fluctuations in the drums, the push and the pull, the dragging and the rushing. Nothing is ever quite the same, and who cares, man? We still end up where we need to be, right? That laid back element of just always being in control of the situation, paired with the effortlessness of her vocals. Again, she just kind of sings. There's no tension, there's no stress, and there's no direct, well, there is a direction, but there's no rush to it. It's all just very calm. And it's just, you see somebody who has a walk that exudes confidence, and they just get things done, and they don't even have to try, and it just looks so effortless from, your perspective, looking at them third person. It looks like their confidence is effortless. They just are. But I think the point of this track is that there's another side to this, and that there is a chaos, there is a noisiness, there is a lack of control, a lack of collection somewhere in this person. Maybe it's just below the surface. Maybe the confidence that they exude is a mask that they wear in order to disguise just how disordered they feel their life is. That's what I get out of this song. I don't know if that's what they're going for. We're going to hit the lyrics and see if any of that lines up with my read on the music. But that's how it all clicks for me. So, with that said, let's dive into some lyrics. Well, I had mentioned that there weren't a lot of lyrics, that the few times we did have singing, they were a bit slower moving, right? Um, I think that kind of undersells just how few lyrics they are. I'm going to read the whole poem, the whole song to you right now. It's not going to take very long. Schooling ain't too bad, and feeling, understand me, I know. For people, get ready. For tempting, understand me, I know. Love. That's it. The last two lines get repeated once again in our return to the A section, but yeah, it's just short ideas followed by a period. Even if I remove the punctuation and read it as school ain't bad and feeling understand me, I know for people get ready. I guess it doesn't really work from that perspective. The first line, school ain't too bad, that kind of flows. Nothing else does though. Understand me, I know. Yeah, I don't know. It's stream of consciousness. I kind of get a vague string between all these ideas, but they're so sparse. It's difficult to really see exactly what they're all creating a picture towards. Not what I was thinking at all. Unless unless there's a way to read this, a perspective on the lyrics that certainly lines up with where I was going with my understanding of the music, of this being a person who is calm on the surface and a little more chaotic underneath, but we only get to see them from the perspective of onlookers who only see that surface level read. Yeah, I don't know. That left me perplexed. I have nowhere else to go with this one. Y'all, those are my thoughts. Marnie Stern's Her Confidence. Let me know what yours are. Give me your thoughts, perspectives, opinions, and hypotheses on what these lyrics mean. Maybe there's an interview somewhere from Marnie and she explains what she was going for on this. It's just a bit too vague, not concrete enough for me. I need a little more substance to my lyrics to understand what's going on. Um, yeah, above the comment section in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today, but I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC, as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.